Feast TV is brought to you with support from Missouri Wines, Whole Foods Market, Culinary, the Raphael Hotel, and New Season Spa and Salon.
In this episode, we're exploring the art and the craft of meat. I'm Cat Neville, and this is Feast TV. We are here in the beautiful rolling hills of southern Missouri at Newman Farm to set the stage for our artisan meat episode. Behind me are these gorgeous Berkshire Hogs, and we're about to talk to Rita, who raises about 140 sows and over 1,000 pigs. So what is it about the Berkshire hog itself that makes you want to breed this particular kind of a hog as opposed to another?
Well, meat quality is the first and foremost thing with the Berkshire. The Berkshire is not a white pork at all. It's very red. The marbling in it is excellent. So that's why it's so sought after, because
It tastes so
it
delicious.
tastes so delicious. That's right. They're a black pig with 6 white traits. They have 4 white feet, a white tip on their tail, and a blaze on their face.
And all of the pigs are on grass.
All the pigs are on grass.
Why is that important to you?
Well, I think exercise and a good clean environment for them, it improves the meat quality so much. The pigs are very social. The little pigs, when they're out, they're just like little kids playing in a park. I mean, they run and play, but they always know who their mom is. So.
Just knowing that you're supporting the welfare of the animal that then is feeding you,
Right.
that is something that I think is very important to a growing number of people.
Some people think it just comes from the supermarket. They don't realize that there's actually someone that produces everything you put in your mouth. It's been a real pleasure, you know, getting acquainted with people that appreciate the hard work that you put in.
Absolutely. And Chris Bolyard is exactly one of those kinds of chefs and butchers.
Yes, he is.
We're meeting him next.
Yeah.
Chris's main contact with Newman Farm is David, Rita's son, and he also helps to run the family farm. Now that we've seen all those happy pigs at Newman Farm, let's head inside and see how Chris Bolyard is utilizing all of those hogs here at Bolyards in Maplewood, Missouri. So this is from Newman Farm?
This is from Newman Farm.
How did you get to know David?
I've known David for a while, and I knew him before we opened the shop. He's a great guy. Just love his farm, love his product, and he's doing things the right way. He looks at whole animal butchering the same way we do. Our philosophy just kind of goes hand in hand with what they're doing at the farm. People are much more concerned with where their food is coming from nowadays. And it just makes sense to have a local butcher that's sourcing their meat.
Yeah, I don't know if people realize that, for example, if a cow is grass-fed, there are fatty acids that we think only exist in cold water fish, like salmon.
Yeah.
But if a cow is raised the way that it was intended to be raised, then those nutrients exist in land animals as well.
Right.
That, I think, is a big shock.
People, like, first time they come into the shop and they'll get a pork chop. And they'll come back and they'll be like, well, I didn't know pork should taste like that.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, it's the breed for one, and it's the way the animal's raised, and you know how it spends its last day. Every single step from birth to by the time it gets here on the table makes a difference, you know, in the final product. And people can taste that, and it's really cool to turn people on to that, you know.
one of the things that really characterizes what Chris is doing here at Bolyards is his chef approach to the prepared foods that he's making. In his past life, he was the chef de cuisine at Sydney Street, which is one of the best restaurants in St. Louis, very high end. And so he applies the cooking techniques that he learned from his decade in the kitchen there to what he's doing here at this butcher shop. What are you serving today?
So the sandwich today, we're calling it the whole beast, and it's got beef heart and tongue pastrami with roast beef. It's got cheddar cheese. It's got some beer mustard on it, some pickled radish, arugula on a kind of a slider bun.
Nice.
Yeah,
That sounds good.
It's delicious. Yeah, it goes over really well.
What else are you making that's kind of prepared that really kind of reflects your chef background?
So we just recently started doing like braised beef and pulled pork, and we'll kind of sell it in 1 pound increments. And it's vacuum sealed, so it's easy for people just to literally buy it, take it home, and put the bag in a pot of water, and they've got dinner instantly.
And your broths, I mean, they're delicious.
We were floored by how popular the broths have become. Lately, there's been a lot of attention geared towards the health benefits of drinking bone broths, and it really caught on.
And tallow, that is something that
Tallow is magical.
it feels very 19th century.
Yeah, I prefer it over lard. It's got a higher smoke point, so you can deep fry with it. In addition to that, you can make soap and candles out of it. It's great. It's multifunctional.
It's just so fun. It's really great to see how you really are utilizing every single bit of the animal.
You have to. We're paying top dollar for this product, and it doesn't make sense to throw any of it in the trash can. You know. I absolutely couldn't have this shop without Abby, my wife. You know, I always say she's the brains behind the operation. She's always helping me brainstorm with new ideas for the shop. She always names the sandwiches usually. She's the other half of Bolyards, you know.
And how about having Betty here? What does that mean for you?
It's amazing to me. Betty's typically in the shop during the morning time before we open. To have her running around is a treat for me, to say the least. The neighborhood is fantastic. We've always wanted to be here in Maplewood, and now that we've been here for a year, we've gotten to know a lot of the neighborhood faces and families, and they really say that they feel like what we're doing here is like the best option for them, and that makes me feel good, you know, because we had that mindset going into it. They wanted to provide the best quality meat possible, and to hear people give you that kind of feedback is very rewarding, you know. It kind of feel like we've accomplished in some ways what we set out to do, and we're always thinking about the next step. You know, how can we make things better, or how can we kind of expand and offer more? I owe it to not only Maplewood but just St. Louis in general. Just makes me proud to be from St. Louis.
Next up, we're heading to Iowa to meet the folks behind Laquercia, where they make some of the best prosciutto in the country. Let's go right now. So how did Laquercia come about? How did this start?
Well, we spent 3.5 years in Parma, Italy, and we didn't learn to make prosciutto then, but we learned to eat it, and we learned a lot about eating food and appreciating great ingredients. We did notice that there was not a lot of fine cured meats in the United States, and that was sort of a step we could take the way people have with wine, with cheese, with beer.
You know, it doesn't matter if you're Herb from Iowa or, you know, Armandino from Seattle, you know. If you give them something great to eat and actually help them understand why and where it came from, it's a great reception.
One of the things that I think does help to distinguish your product is that you're using heritage breed pork. Is that something that you've done from the very beginning?
We tried different pork breeds, and the ones that we liked the best for specialty breeds were Berkshire and Tamil.
And why is that?
We felt that the meat
tasted
had the
it.
best quality. I mean, that's kind of the ultimate test. How does it taste?
It was kind of ironic to me that the people from Italy who were telling me that we couldn't make prosciutto were the same people coming and eating meat at restaurants and saying, "Oh, the meat here is delicious, the best meat in the
American
world."
meat.
Yeah, you know, we heard a lot of different things about the air is important and the climate's important and the equipment's important. To us, it's really the meat. The meat's what determines it. I mean, it's 96%.
You guys still get in there and salt the hams yourselves too. I mean, you're not just, you know, running the company. You still, on a day-to-day basis, are in there making the products yourselves.
I think at this point we just like to do it. It gets long, you know, and cold.
It gets long and cold, but I'm really glad we do it. I'm glad we can still do it, and I think it's one of the things that I value about working with our employees is that they know we take this really seriously. That's an important message to say, you know, the work that you are doing is really important work, and we're here to do it too.
It's a very old process. It's been done for millennia, so it's nothing we created. But you put the salt on, the salt penetrates, pushes the water out, so you get the meat dry enough so it can support higher temperature. Basically, we dry the meat so that it doesn't support bacterial growth. That's how it's safe to eat, and then we age it. You can see the meat starts shedding moisture. It's dripping down the edge of the racks. It's a very elemental thing. These are the two ingredients. This is the one chance you have to combine the two ingredients. And it's going to sit here, and then we're going to do it again, and that's going to keep on happening. So this is the winds of January.
It's chilly in here.
It's chilly in here. So we have a lot of air movement and a lot of refrigeration power. So we're taking a lot of moisture off of those hams. Here we're continuing to dry with refrigeration. So we're in the last phase of winter. We don't have the air movement, so it's slowed down. So they're going to be in here a month.
So where we were previously, it was cold like winter, and now we're in this warm, almost humid room that is something like summer, essentially.
Yeah, it'll be early summer.
This is incredible. Look at all of these hams. There's so many of them. They're gorgeous. And they have the paste applied.
Right, so the purpose of that is to inhibit the moisture loss. So we've taken about as much of the water out as we want, and we want to slow it down, but we want to continue to age them because we want to favor that enzymatic activity that's going to break down the meat and break down the fat and create that special flavor and texture.
So how long will they stay here with the paste on?
6 months, 7 months. Yeah.
And then do you just rinse it off?
Yeah, I wish. It's more work to get off than it is to put on.
So how do you get it off?
You're going to see.
Oh, excellent. Let's go see.
This is where we take the hams from in there and make them really, really pretty. Yes, and ready for sale.
So Sebastian, what is your role?
My title is the plant manager, so I basically make sure everybody's in the right place at the right time so that we can make the best possible prosciutto. The device they're using is called a wizard knife, and basically all that is a 3-inch circular razor blade that just spins. So it's a motor-driven razor, and it just goes through and shaves off the sunya.
Do you ever get tired of walking through here and seeing this?
No, I mean, you know, sometimes, like almost always when I walk through here and see this, I worry.
What are you worried about?
We always worry about the quality.
Well, but that's why you deliver such high quality, is that
We're always worried about it.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. It's a great job for an obsessive compulsive. Yeah.
So it's fun to make the meat, and then it's delicious. So
Everybody wins.
Everybody wins.
Yeah.
But that's ultimately it. If it's not delicious, you aren't going to. That's more. It has to be really good to eat.
There's not a lot of point to being in the food business if you don't make something that's delicious.
I am here in St. Laborie, Illinois, a very small town of 600 people where Wenneman's Meat Market has been operating since 1927. These guys do it the right way from beginning to end, and I'm taking you behind the scenes. Let's go. There are very few people who do things the old way, but as we're seeing in this episode of Feast TV, all of that is coming back. Give me a snapshot history of Wenneman's.
Originally, this was built as a custom slaughterhouse back in the days when everyone had cattle. And now you can drive for miles and miles and not even see any fences. So obviously business has changed and we've had to evolve with it. We've gotten into a lot of different aspects of the meat industry, from not only the curing, the butchering, but also the wholesale end of the market. We also have a retail store, all of our own ready-to-eat lines, and we've gotten really big into the bacon field.
And do you think that's how the company has survived, because it is so diversified?
Not only have we just survived, we've also kind of thrived, and a lot of it has been because of the diversity that we've had in the business.
But this building was very purposefully built to be able to allow you to do everything in one place, which is really rare.
That it is.
You're like, yes, exactly.
Yes.
So we're able to show all the viewers at home the making of not only your bulk sausage, but your breakfast sausages.
Most of them, the breakfast links nowadays are stuffed into a collagen casing. They go through the machine and they're really not touched at all. We still make the old-fashioned breakfast links and stuffed in a sheep casing. They're required to be linked by hand, so it's a whole different process.
And your bacon. You have to tell me about your bacon.
We could talk for hours on the bacon. We have the best bacon.
What makes it the best, though?
I can't tell you everything, Kat.
It's a company secret. Behind me, the world famous Wenneman's bacon is being sliced. And this is only one of the many, many products that you guys make and sell here at the store, along with in grocery stores around the regions. What are some of the products that you guys are making?
We make hot dogs, bologna products, summer sausages, snack sticks. We get into brown swaggers, head cheese, liver sauce.
The good stuff.
Yes, blood sausage even.
So are any of the recipes original? So which one? All of them are?
Yes. They got passed down from the Wennemans. When Brad and I purchased the plant from them, the recipes and everything came along with the plant.
So when you did buy this business, what was that process like?
Brad and I, we've been here, been in this town our whole lives.
Yeah.
We know the Wennemans. We grew up with everybody going to Wennemans. So it was kind of a good feeling to take it over and then to build on what they had built from back in 1927. And now we're carrying it on and getting bigger and bigger each year.
I mean, it's a testament to the quality of what you guys are producing and the fact that consumers now are looking for quality and they're seeking that out. Tell me a little bit about the relationships that you have with the suppliers, the people who are bringing in the heads of cattle, the people who are bringing in the hogs.
They're all local. They're all within 30 miles of the processing plant.
And that's key. I mean, that's key to the quality, is that you understand what's happened to those animals from the very beginning all the way through to when you are working with them.
Correct.
And the fact that you have respect for the animals, that's a big part of what I think people want to see come back, is that it's not just about getting the end result, getting the steak on your plate, that you respect what the animal's bringing through the entire process. And so being able to come in here and show this, I really appreciate you guys opening your doors to this.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah, it's very cool. So now we're going to get on to the cooking demo, where we're going to be making a pork roulade. And I'm going to use another Laquercia product in this one, and this time I'm going to use the nduja. And the nduja, you did not see the process of that being made, but when they were trimming off the prosciutto, the fat and the little bits of meat that they didn't keep on that main prosciutto, that's mixed with a wonderful array of spices, and it's turned into this spicy, rich, fatty meat paste, essentially. It is delicious and I love it. So the very first step in making the pork roulade, I'm going to saute some onion and some garlic until it's translucent, and I'm going to set it aside to cool while I get the rest of my ingredients ready. So I have a little bit of caramelization on the onion and the garlic, just a tiny bit. I'm going to go ahead and turn this off because I want it to cool before I put it into the meat. So I'm going to go ahead and just put this off to the side. So that's cooling. My next step is going to be to go ahead and butterfly this pork loin. This is not a tenderloin. The tenderloin is a different cut. This is the loin, so it's going to be much larger. I'm going to cut it so that it opens up almost like a book, and that way I can put all those wonderful ingredients in it and tie it back up and roast it. This is the nduja, that delicious, delicious spiced meat paste, which doesn't sound very good, but believe me, it is. Now, I'm going to take this lovely onion mixture. It's going to cook for a good 90 minutes. What's going to happen is all of these flavors are just going to kind of blend together. And then I'm just going to do a very thin layer of spinach just to have a really nice green element and add just a little bit more texture. The trick is going to be to roll this up. I think I was a little bit over generous. This is just standard butcher's twine, easy to find at almost any grocery store. And I want to tie it at least 3 times because I want it to be even. One of the biggest secrets in cooking well is to make things even. It's kind of a very simple way to make sure that you are successful. This looks pretty good to me. I'm going to go ahead and salt generously and pepper the exterior, and then I'm going to score the fat. And by scoring the fat, what I'm doing is I'm allowing that surface to open up as it cooks and for the fat to run out onto the meat. So I'm just heating up my pan really quickly. The oven is already at 375, preheated. And the only reason why I'm searing this is to get a nice caramelization on the surface. If you don't do it, it's not the end of the world, but it's going to give you a better result at the end. You're going to have that beautiful kind of mahogany brown exterior that you're looking for in a roast. It's going to be very tasty. Okay, so I'm going to start with the fat side down. The hardest thing about cooking meat is not touching it while it's doing its thing. So I need to be patient and just let it sit there and caramelize. And it will tell you when it's ready to be released because it will easily pull away from the pan. If it's sticking, it's not ready quite yet. While this is browning, I do want to mention I'm pairing this with a Norton, which is the Missouri State grape. This one happens to be from Stone Hill, which is in the Herman area. Norton is going to be a perfect pair with that spicy fattiness of the stuffing that we're creating. So I have a little bit of that crust on the surface, and I'm going to add in just a touch of chicken broth so that, again, my pork loin doesn't stick, and it just braises just a little bit. And I'm going to roast it for about 90 minutes or so until the internal temperature is 160 degrees. Also, I'm going to be serving this with some mashed potatoes, and I'm going to make a little pan sauce to go with it as well. This looks gorgeous, and it smells incredible. You can see that the fat that we scored before we put it into the oven is nicely crisped. And then I'm also going to make a pan sauce from the drippings that are left over in the pan. And I'm gonna cook it down with some chicken stock. Essentially, we're making a gravy because we're taking the fat that's been rendered from the cooking process and making it something that we're gonna dress the meat with once we slice it. I'm just gonna keep my eye on this and keep whisking it. If I feel like the texture hasn't gotten to be quite right, I'll add a slurry, which is just flour mixed with water, and it helps to thicken things up and make pan sauces like this more viscous. The easiest way to test to see if your potatoes are done, poke them with a knife, and if they fall right off the end of your knife, then they're tender enough, and these are good to go. So what I have here is a ricer. I don't know if you've ever seen one of these before, but this is how you can ensure that you don't overwork your potatoes. Take them right over to the bowl where I'm gonna mix in all my salt and pepper and cream. You just push it right through. I'm just gonna add in butter and heavy cream. So I'm cutting off that twine that held the pork, and I'm just gonna slice it. And I want my slices to be thin. And now, of course, we have this amazing, gorgeous pan sauce, and drizzle a little bit on top. Now with a dish that is this rich and decadent, Norton is pretty much the only wine that will stand up to all of those flavors. I'm so glad that we had a chance to explore what's happening in the craft meat movement in this episode. There really is a lot to explore, from local butcher shops to places like Laquercia, where they're making beautiful artisanal charcuterie. So cheers to delicious meat, and I'll see you next time.